let's go into like organization tips that we have, especially now that we live in a smaller space. I feel like we're definitely not always on top of it. I feel I have at least a meltdown a week before we fully organize, and then I feel good again. But just some tips of like ways to stay on top of organization, or how to organize in smaller spaces, whatever. I'll go first.
Great.
The one that I was thinking of when we were talking about making a list of things that stress me out. I also like to make to-do lists.
You do.
And I don't know if that's like a trigger for you, because like I usually make a to-do list when I'm stressed, and I don't know if you start to associate that with like me being stressed and that like stresses you out.
I only make to-do lists when I'm thinking of it in a like career sense. So
okay.
And I love it in that sense. It does stress me out every once in a while. It more so, I understand why you do it, so it doesn't really bother me. It's
one of those things where it's like the problem feels too big until you see it. Yes. And so I have to make a to-do list to be like, okay, this is everything broken down.
Yes.
And then instead of you having to ask, what would you like me to do? I can be like, here's the list, pick something.
Yeah.
I don't do that all the time because, again, that kind of feels like a naggy thing. But now that I think about it, it might make both of us happier in the long run. So,
I actually do appreciate it, because for me, because you don't physically make the list sometimes. And so then you are just listing things that are stressing you out, right? But it still isn't, you can't look at it yet. So you are still like spiraling out of control and like frantic, right? And for me, my thing is like, okay, she just said it's cluttered in the dining room. Why don't we just declutter the dining room real quick? You know, like my brain is like, great, take the first thing and let's solve it real fast. But I think for you, you have to like get it all on paper first, or in a Apple Note. So please feel free to keep doing that.
That is a tip, because even if, I don't know, I feel like even for the people that aren't like me and have a more or a less stressed brain, I feel like it is still helpful just to have like a to-do list of like little things that you can do. Even like, I like to break up my to-do list by day. Like at work, I have daily to-do lists that I will like add to, but I have like every Monday, these are the things that I definitely do. And then whatever else gets added to it that day, like it gets added. But like Mondays, I do certain things. Tuesdays, I do certain things. So like maybe Mondays you clean your bathroom or do a load of laundry, or I don't know. Like I feel like that's a good way to like break up little tasks so that like you're staying on top of being organized without like having to do a full like deep clean, or like trying to get everything together all in one day. Cause that's when I always get like, like, it almost makes me like shut down. So that's tip number 1 for me.
That's really good. And it segues very nicely to what I had. Cause for me, it's scheduling. So, which is kind of what you're saying, but like I've been reading a lot and like learning a lot about like creating. As a creative, sometimes the hardest thing is like finishing things or like accomplishing things. And a lot of the ways that people say, a lot of the time, like experts in the field will say like build routines, and not because some people get scared of routines because it like looks too black and white and boring. But it makes it so that your brain can go into autopilot easier. Like it eliminates the stress of like, well, what's going to happen?
Think about it.
Yeah. It's like when you're driving on the way home from work and you don't really have to think about it because you drive it every day. And so then you can listen to an audiobook or, you know, whatever, like you can do more because your brain doesn't have to think about it. And so building routines like that consistently help with that kind of thing. So for me, and just like scheduling in general is just really helpful for me. I found I need to get back to like doing this more consistently, but like scheduling my day out by like hour to hour, especially for how sporadic my brain is
do time blocking.
So helpful. Where I'll be like, okay, I use ChatGPT to do it. I'll like text it all of the things that I want to accomplish in a day and be like, these are the things I need to get done. These are the things that I want to get done. Schedule it out. And it'll like give it to me in work on this editing thing for 3 hours, work on this for this, make a TikTok for 1 hour. And then I know like, okay, if it is after 1 p.m., I need to be done messing with that TikTok because it's no longer serving me. I'm actually just procrastinating. And I know that's more of like a work organization or like a scheduling organization, but it's, I don't know.
Goes into
It's important.
the overarching idea of organization. So I think that's helpful.
Yeah.
My next one, something that I've been learning, especially in this apartment, that's super helpful, is to clean as you go. I realized this when we first started doing HelloFresh at the old apartment. I would do that like when you were like on your way home from work or something, and I would be making dinner that night. I would like, as I chopped things, I would throw away the extra pieces, and like as I used a container of seasoning or whatever, I would throw away the trash. Like I would consolidate everything as I went. And like while things were simmering, I would like wipe down the little area that got stuff on it, whatever. I feel like especially if you're in a space that has like not a lot of space, that's super helpful to clear up space as you go. But also it eliminates having to like spend extra time fully cleaning something later, because that time is going to pass anyway.
Yeah.
And so like, I don't know, it just makes more sense to me to do it that way. That's like specific to cooking, but like in other senses of that, like
I was going to say, like, it's way easier if I do the dishes every night than if I wait and do it every other night.
yeah, or like when well, here's an example. My rings are sitting right there. I took them off the other day and left them. If I had taken them off and just like walked to put them away when I took them off, like
they wouldn't be sitting here now.
Yes. And so it's just like, I think just like eliminating momentary lazy choices, because ultimately like you're not really saving yourself any time. You're saving yourself time, I guess, in the moment, but that's always going to be spent later, because now I'm going to have to go put those rings back anyway. I might as well have just done it then. And same with like, I feel like a big thing that maybe a lot of people do is like leave clothes like on the floor, on the bed, whatever.
That's pretty targeted.
I know it wasn't. It's not.
No, but I do that every night.
Oh, I know you do. But
I take off my pants, just throw them on the floor right next to the bed.
Yep.
And that's been a big one for me lately, where like I've been trying, because I know it
does
bothers
stress
you
me out a lot.
Because 3 days goes by and I have 3 pairs of pants piled up on top of each other.
Yeah.
So I have been trying to put them in the thing every
and
night,
like
or fold them up.
Again, we have like a smaller room than we used to have. So like if I take off a pair of pants, I just walk my little butt into the closet and hang them up immediately, so that it's like, okay, that took 10 seconds. Like,
right. As
it
opposed
is not
to the
hard.
3 seconds it would have taken you to take them off and throw them.
That's the thing that's funny about like being organized and like being lazy, whatever. It's like the time exchange
Everything
is
costs
so
something.
minuscule. Either way, you might as well do the one that serves you more, because it's gonna save you time in the long run. It's just like funny that that's how so many of our brains are just wired to just like do the easier thing in the moment. But like, this is like a lame, probably too dramatic of a quote, but you know that quote that's like, do something right now that your future self will thank you for.
Yeah.
I always think about that, like when I do something like put the keys where they go when I get home, instead of taking them to the table and then losing them later. It's like, I'm like, oh, future me is going to be so glad I just put the keys back, because I don't have to look for them later and think that I lost them.
Literally even like investing money versus just like spending it, you know, it's like, oh, that long term, it compounds. You get more money at the end of it. Like it's all for the greater, you're looking long term, not short term.
Do you have other tips?
Honestly, you kind of got my last one, because I was going to say like doing things, which I guess it all is around the first one, but like doing things consistently, cleaning the dishes every night, like keeping up with things like that is way easier in the long term, which is kind of sick.
I have a couple more.
Great.
Another one is to get rid of shit. I feel like
that's true.
I think that's part of the reason why I do feel a lot clearer headed overall lately, is because I just know that I have less stuff. And like when you own less, you have to clean up less.
Yep.
And you have to find a home for less.
It's like the law of like, if there's space, you'll fill it.
Yeah.
It's like it's easier to maintain if you have a smaller space.
Yeah.
That's why people that are like minimalists, like, and they like live in the tiny homes, not saying we should, but they'll like have 2 t-shirts and 2 pairs of pants, and they're like, I really don't need anything else, because what else am I going to wear?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, yeah, that does make sense.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm definitely not that extreme about it, but I do think there is value in like looking through your closet and being like, okay, what have I not even touched in 6 months?
Yeah.
I'm gonna sell it or donate it or whatever. Or like, we have 50 trillion cups. I'm gonna get rid of half of these because we don't need all of them and they're taking up space. Just like little things like that, I feel like is so helpful. And it just feels so nice to like not have overly full cabinets or like a closet that's just like bursting at the seams and you don't even know where stuff is. Like, I love being able to just like pick something out because I can see it immediately.
Yeah.
And it's great.
I would say your Newly subscription also helps with that.
It does help with that.
Because you still are getting we sound like we're sponsored by Newly.
I wish we were.
Newly sponsor us.
Please.
Goddamn. But I mean, like things like that it's like, oh, I don't need to hold on to this because I'm going to get new things soon. Yeah. It scratches that itch.
For sure.
Honestly, it's like paying for for me, it's like paying for a Netflix subscription so that I don't have to buy a bunch of movies.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Pretty much, yeah. One more? I meant I have one more.
You have one more? Please hit me with it. I would love to hear.
Get a robo vacuum.
Nice.
We
I
just
actually
got
almost
one.
said that earlier and I felt that I hadn't utilized it enough to actually have that.
No, I mean, so my parents gave us their robo vacuum when we went to Florida a couple weeks ago, and we've only used it like twice. I used it Saturday for the first time, like fully through the house, and it is pretty slow and it's a little bit noisy, but I didn't have to vacuum. And so it was like the vacuum can be running while you're doing other things. And so like it's more efficient and it just like takes something off me. And like if you have pets or something and like you get hair that like just piles up or I don't know, it gets really dusty, whatever, like you could run that like multiple times a week and you won't need to vacuum. Like
Yep.
They can be a little pricey, but I do feel like that's a good investment for your time because I know people, especially people with like big houses, like vacuuming takes a long time.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's just like one less thing to have to do. And that's like a thing you can automate in your personal life.
I was going to say with that, like, it's like I was saying with, my Google form thing for work, like the more you can automate, the easier it is to keep your life organized.
Yeah.
Which is the same thing I was saying about like your brain taking less space. Like the more that you don't have to think about, the more you don't have to spend your time on, the better.
Yeah.
Just all around. Like the RoboVac is sick because you hit start and she goes.
She's kind of cute too.
She is. We named her Eve.
You could make it like your little pet.
Yeah.
If you don't have a pet.
She doesn't play nice with Coop.
Yeah, Coopy doesn't really like her. He thumped.
More so Coop doesn't play nice with her. He gets scared.
Coop doesn't F with that. He doesn't like things that are his size and move.
Yeah.
But
he's fine with humans.
Yeah.
Not great with RoboVacs.